Hi everyone, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian, and I'm broadcasting to you live from Central Europe. Today, we're doing IELTS Speaking Part 1 for the speaking section. And as usual, our materials come from our website, IELTS help.com for general IELTS. And for academic IELTS, check us out at aehelp.com. Both of those websites, we have 6 original practice exams for you, a fully interactive course, and over 100 hours of video lessons. This is what our general IELTS website looks like. You log in at the top, join by clicking the big red button. Once you're in here, you will see that there are great materials for you. Interactive practice exams, full online course, and so on. For academic IELTS, check us out on this website, aehelp.com. Click that big red button. Hi, Hardeep. I'm doing great. Good evening to you as well. All right. Some important notices for today. This week is the last week of live classes on this channel, students. From next week, we are doing more classes on our Academic English Help channel, and we're uploading more General IELTS videos to this channel. Hi, Vasil. Hi, Maninderjeet. So keep that in mind. I'll keep reminding students about that. If you want to get our exam books, you can get them from Amazon, GE Helps General IELTS. If you have questions, send me an email, adrian@gieltshelp.com. All right. So for this week, our schedule is the following. Today, speaking part 1. Tomorrow, general reading. Then we will do task 1, actually, on Friday. And then we'll do a task 2 essay question on Saturday. Hi, Manraj. Hi, Maninderjeet. Hi, Senthiel. Good to see more students in class. Okay, students, so this class is for speaking. My goal is to improve your speaking skills. So make sure that you repeat nice and loud. Repeat, repeat, repeat what I say, repeat the questions, repeat the answers, and repeat your fellow students. Hi, Allah, Mosa. All right, so students, IELTS speaking section. It's a 15-minute interview with a native English speaker in most cases. Stay calm, stay confident. Remember, you're there to do a job. You're there to get a nice, high IELTS band score, okay? Imad, to get the previous lessons on our other channel, you have to be a channel member. Hi, Kesra. All right, so when you go in to your IELTS speaking interview, firstly, the examiner will ask you to sit down and they will ask you for your identification. Be confident, okay? Remember that you have to be strong in the speaking. You have to speak nice and loud with a clear voice. Why is that important? Why, students, is it really important that you speak confidently, nice and loud? So before we start our questions here, let me ask you a couple questions. So why is it important to speak loud and clear in the speaking interview? What is the logic behind that? So, and not just loud and clear, but confident. Speak loud, confident, and clear. Okay. Harmeet says, so the examiner can understand. Yes, that is a big, big reason. There's another really big reason. I wonder if any of the students, maybe some who did the exam before, know the logic. Okay, Kesra says to make a positive impression. That's true. But there's even a more important reason than these. These are very, very important, of course, but there's another key point. It's because, so firstly, of course, let's say to get a high mark. To get a high mark, so the examiner understands you. All right, but number two, and this is very important, is the speaking is recorded. In case you request a remark of this section. Okay, so maybe some of you don't know this, all right, but you can request the IELTS exam to be regraded. You can ask for a second grading, okay? Sometimes students are very close to the score that they need. So they need a 6.5, they have a 6, and they think, hey, I think I got a 6.5 there. I'm going to ask them to grade my speaking again. Two sections that can be worthwhile to rescore or regrade are the speaking and the writing. In the listening and the reading section, your mark usually will not change, even if you ask to regrade it. Simple logic, it's because the answers are very clear. So in the listening and in the reading, you either get it correct or wrong. There's a very, very low chance that you can get a higher mark if you ask to be regraded. But in the speaking, in the writing, the marking is much more subjective. Okay, it's much, much more subjective, which means it's much more the choice of the marker to say what your band score is. Is that clear, students? So let me know if you understand what I'm saying so far. So if you have a little bit of a lower mark in the speaking or writing section and you think you did a good job, you can say, hey, I think I did a good job. I'm going to ask them to remark or regrade these sections. And at times, students can go up by 0.5. It's very rare, but maybe even a full band in these two sections. Okay. Now, when they remark, it's a different person who does the grading than the person you did the interview with. Okay. So if you're speaking quietly and you're mumbling, talking like then it's very unlikely that you're going to get a better score because the examiner who's listening to the recording can't hear you. Okay, if they can't hear you, they will not give you a better score. So be confident. The speaking is recorded. And if you have to request a remark, it's that much more important that you're loud and that you're clear so the recorder picks up your voice and your answers clearly. Does that make sense, students? Do you understand what I'm telling you with this advice? So the next question, of course, is how can I be confident? Okay. So how can you make sure that you're speaking loud? How can you make sure that you have a lot of energy and that you're confident? Okay, well, what I always tell students is imagine that the examiner is your grandfather or your grandmother. Okay? Why? You feel comfortable with them. You explain clearly and completely. And you speak loud. Why? Because grandma and grandpa may have a little bit of hard of hearing, okay? All right. So think about it that way. Yes, Harmeet. Absolutely. Harmeet's asking a very good question as well. So Harmeet's asking, does the speaker judge or grade my speaking on the spot? Yes, they do. They are grading you. Now, sometimes students actually catch or see a little bit of what the examiner is putting down. So they see like a number 5 or number 4, and then they're like, oh, maybe I got a band 5 or a 4. That's not the case, okay? They have a special marking technique. So if you see numbers on the examiner's sheet, that isn't necessarily your score, okay? So don't panic, don't freak out, don't think that that's your score. They have a special marking style, so you can't really guess your score until they get it to you. But yes, Harmeet, they do mark you on the spot, okay? So they're completing their marking sheet in real time. All right, students, so that's really, really important, okay? So be confident. Remember, you're just a number for the IELTS examiner. On your IELTS application, you have an IELTS candidate number. You're just a number. They see lots of students. They sometimes see native speakers on the same day. So there's a good chance that you're not the best, you're not the worst in the group. So just be confident, all right? Okay, students, so then with all that energy and all that confidence, you sit down. The examiner says, may I see your passport or identification? You pass it to them. Don't be quiet, okay? Say something. So usually when somebody asks you in your own language, can I see your identification, your passport, you usually do say a couple of words. What should you say? So how should you respond to this situation? May I see your identification or your passport, please? Okay. Nirmaljit says, sure, here you go. Yeah, that's a good one. Everybody repeat me. Sure, here you go. Okay, intonation is important to sound natural and to sound confident and to sound polite. Okay, so intonation is important to sound confident, natural, and polite. So pay attention. Okay, so repeat when I say these words. Sure, here you go. Akinjid says, here it is. No, please, Akinjid. It's not natural to say please at the end there in English. So Allah says, here you are. Yep, absolutely. You can also always use what the examiner says. So if the examiner says, may I see your passport? If you want to be more polite, you can say, yes, you may. Here it is. And then you can even say, please take a look. Okay, so that's a nice, polite way to respond. Just repeat after me. Yes, you may. Here it is. Please take a look. Okay, that'll work. All right, students. So then the examiner will say, thank you. Here's your identification back. They will give it back to you. Okay. Kesra, sure, just saying sure is maybe a little bit too vague. It's too short. Okay. You want to be a little bit more polite. So at least say sure, please take a look. Or please have a look. And then you sit down and the examiner says, now for part one, I will ask you a couple of questions to get to know you better. Okay? These questions are usually very similar. So the questions are, do you work or study? What do you do in your free time? So these are common questions. You have to prepare quality answers. Okay? So first impressions are very important. All right? Yes, Sarah, this video is recorded, so it will be available on the channel. Okay. Begzad, I'm not sure if the class is early or not. We're based on Central European time, and it is past 13:30 here, so it's still the same time according to us. Maybe your time zone's changed, Begzad. I'm not sure. Okay, so the first question that they will ask you is, what is your full name? They'll actually ask that while they still have your passport because they're matching your name with your ID for their records. Okay, so what is your name? What is your name? How should you answer that question? What is your full name? Okay. Nirmaljit says, my family name is Gurm and my given name is Nirmaljit Singh, but please call me by my nickname, Nirmal. Sure, so that's a nice, lengthy, clear answer, Nirmaljit. These days, the examiners will sometimes be a little bit rude and interrupt you when you're giving a long answer. So it's good to give that answer, Nirmaljit. Just make sure you can say it nice and fast, just for that answer. Okay, this is for everyone, of course. So make sure you're nice and fast so that they can't really interrupt you when you're giving a nice lengthy answer like that. So I'll copy your answer. My name is Gurm. My family name, sorry. My family name is Gurm. And my given name is Nirmaljit Singh. But please call me by my nickname, which is Nirmal. Okay, so again, make sure that you're saying this type of answer fast. If you can't say it fast, then just say my full name is Gurm Nirmaljit Singh. Please call me Nirmal. Okay, so keep it a little bit shorter. Okay, students, repeat after me. My family name is Gurm and my given name is Nirmaljit Singh, but please call me by my given name, Nirmal. Okay, so, all right. Kesra says a very interesting point here. Kesra Reza says, I think I can realize if I'm talking too much based on the facial expression. Absolutely, Kesra. So pay attention to the expressions of the examiner. If they seem like they're a little bit annoyed or frustrated that you're dragging out your questions, try to keep them shorter. Practice that at home before you sit the IELTS, okay? All right. Begzad says, my given name is Begzad, my surname is Suyanov. Please just call me Begzad. That's nice, okay? It's kind of the middle ground, Begzad. So it's not too short, not too long. It's just right. All right. Okay, so those are some good answers. Let's go to the next one. Do you work or study? So it's a very common follow-up question. Everybody should be able to give some answer for this, even a lower level student. So make sure that you're ready for that question. Okay. All right. So do you work or study? Again, have a very clear answer for this. Okay. Maninderjeet says, well, currently I'm doing both. You have a missing verb there, Maninderjeet. Well, currently I'm doing both. You are not both, you are doing both, okay? So while currently I'm doing both, I've been working as a dentist for the past year and a half at Adish Hospital, and now I'm preparing for the National Dental Examination Board of Canada. Very good, Maninderjeet. Just a couple of slight corrections there. Pay attention to my corrections. Okay. Harmeet Singh says, actually, I'm studying at university in Bachelor of Arts. Harmeet, what are you studying for the Bachelor of Arts? Are you studying psychology, political science? So give me a little bit more on that, okay? Just a touch more so I can get a little bit more clarity and then move on to the next question. Okay, so let's take Harmeet Singh's. Well, actually, I am, let me tune it up for you a little bit, Harmeet. So I am in my third year of studies in university. To get my Bachelor of Arts in Sociology. Okay, so just it's a little bit more clear, Harmeet, when you do it like this. I like the natural filler or word filler as well, actually. I'm in my third year of studies, so immediately a little bit of quantitative information, a little bit numbers here. Third year of studies in university to get my Bachelor of Arts in Sociology. That will get you more points, okay? It's clearer, it's more quantitative, more measurable. You're giving more information in almost the same amount of words, all right? Shafiqul Islam says, I am studying at the City University and my subject is English literature. That is good, Shafiqul Islam. It works, all right? Sue4121 says, I have a full-time job in primary school as an assistant teacher. Okay, that works, Sue. That works fine. All right, Tina says, I'm both an IELTS student and part-time accountant for the past 2 years. All right, Tina, you have to be a little bit careful with that. What you're telling me there is that you're doing both for the past 2 years. If that's true, that's okay. But as the examiner, I'm thinking, really, are you studying IELTS for the last 2 years as well? So, Tina, I would say it like this. I'm currently studying IELTS, and for the past 2 years, I have also been working as an accountant. Hope you caught that correction, Tina. It's a very slight but clear distinction. In my response, it's clear that you're an accountant for 2 years and you're currently studying IELTS, but not for 2 years. So I hope that makes sense. Okay? All right. So again, students, very important that for these icebreaker questions, you're not giving awkward information. You're not making any mistakes. Okay? You want to be very, very clear for these icebreakers. They are already marking you. You're not going to see them write too many pieces of information with the icebreakers, but in their mind, they're already measuring your English ability and your IELTS band score. Okay? Harmeet has a really good question that just came up. Harmeet says, sir, can you please explain if the examiner is asking me why after every answer, is that okay? No, Harmeet. The IELTS examiner, they have the why questions on their sheet for a lot of the questions as a follow-up, but you should always include a reason in your answer. So you want to preempt the why question. It means you want to get the jump on that. You want to include reasons in your answer. So your answer should always be an answer, an explanation, and a smooth flowing example. Okay? That's what we're going to practice in a moment here. Before we do that, let's look at this question here. What do you do in your free time? Okay? Don't jump ahead, students, so be patient. What do you do in your free time? So give me a nice answer for that one. Okay? All right. Begzad says, in my leisure time, I often hang out with my friends. Just this weekend, we played football. This game was amazing and full of fun. Begzad, that's great. Okay, so you're really picking up good communication strategies from these lessons and implementing them well. You're answering the question directly. You're using nice, natural language, a little bit of slang. You're flowing into an example with just this. And then finishing your answer so that you're not just going off topic and talking too much. So that's great, Begzad. Okay, that's a great answer. I'll take Begzad's answer because it's a good one. And there's paraphrasing there as well, Begzad, which is good. So instead of saying free time, Begzad is saying in my leisure time, which is a nice paraphrase, and that gets you lexical resource marks right away. Okay, so that's great. So in my leisure time, good use of comma, Begzad, with a leading time expression. So in my leisure time, I often hang out with my friends. Nice, smooth flowing example. Just this weekend, we played football. And I would actually connect that, and it was an amazing game. Okay? Full of fun and excitement. So the goal to get those high IELTS band scores is not to talk a lot, but to talk clearly, accurately, good information, naturally. Okay? That's what you're doing. All right. Suleiman Sunuwar says, I'm studying in plant and science in my free time. I try to speak English and look at YouTube videos on how to improve my language skills. Suleiman, it's a good start. Don't repeat the word English. So students, always try to work on your speaking so that you're not repeating the same word twice within the same answer. Okay? Avoid word repetition. If you want to get a high IELTS band score, you need to choose different words, different grammar, so that you're not repeating yourself. All right? Kyber, good to see you in class. Kyber says, in my free time, I like to watch my favorite movies or do jazz dance. I don't think it's jazzy dance, Kyber. I think you're doing jazz dance. Could be wrong. I'm not a dance expert myself. All right. Akashdeep Kaur says, certainly I like to read novels in my free time. Certainly is a bit awkward there, Akashdeep. It's not terrible, but it's a bit awkward. So I like to read novels in my free time. It is my hobby. So I have an ample number of books at home. Usually I prefer inspirational books. Okay, Akashdeep, that's a little bit generalized. I think your answer would read better, or I would hear it better if it sounded something like this. I like to read novels in my free time. It's my hobby. These days, my favorite book is The Power of Now. Okay, that's an inspirational book, Akashdeep. Maybe you've read it. All right. So give me a smooth flowing specific example. That's always a very good positive for your band scores, okay? All right. Let's take one more. Jazz says, well, it depends on my mood. When I feel energetic, I cook as it needs patience. However, if I feel exhausted, I listen to music as it helps me relax and be happy. Jazz, I corrected quite a bit there. Pay attention to those corrections. They make it much more natural. Okay, students, so again, the most important points to practice and to pay attention to for getting those Band 7, Band 8, Band 9 scores is answer, use the question when you're answering, okay, explain, so give reason, and then a smooth flowing example. Okay, so example, smooth flowing, using words like, just as, some of them, okay, careful if you say, for example, the examiner will likely interrupt you. Okay, so keep that in mind. Okay, this is what we're going to focus on today with our questions. So again, answer, explain, example. Okay, so when I'm asking you to give me a good answer, that's what I'm looking for. When I say give me a Band 7, 8, 9 answer, that's what I'm looking for. So today's part 1 is a very commonly occurring theme in the IELTS. Let's talk about your hometown, okay? This could be for icebreakers, could be for part 1. So that's what the examiner will say after these icebreakers. They'll say, okay, let's talk about, and then they'll give the topic here. It's your hometown. So the first question is, where did you grow up? Okay, give me a nice answer for this one, students. So a nice answer for this one. Where did you grow up? Okay. All right, waiting for those answers. Think about that answer, explanation, example. You might not be able to give an example for all questions, like this one, but an explanation might still work. All right. Sevgi, Rabia says, I grew up in the city of Ankara, which is the capital of Turkey, until the age 18. Sevgi, that is a beautiful answer. You have some good quantitative information, and it's very accurate. So let's take Sevgi's while everybody else is writing. Notice that Sevgi's paying careful attention to the tense, not grow up. I grew up. It's past tense. I grew up in the city of Ankara, which is the capital of Turkey. Okay, nice use of adjective clause, Sevgi. So which is the capital of Turkey. That's a nice adjective clause. Okay, until the age 18. Now, Sevgi, if you want it to be really fancy, and again, careful not to go off topic, but you could say something like, after that, I moved to Istanbul for university. Okay. So you might finish it off with that kind of a phrase, okay, just to give it that extra little tuning. All right. Sarah says, I was born and I grew up in Tehran city, capital of Iran. It's a bit polluted, but I love it the way it is. All right. Good. Okay, that was a nice answer. All right. Let's take some more. Maninderjeet says, well, as I belong to a military background, my upbringing took place in several different places around India, but most of the time I spent in Delhi, around 7 years, okay? Which is the capital. You don't need that at the end, Maninderjeet. It's a little bit awkward. If you wanted to add that, Maninderjeet, you should do it a little bit earlier. So, but most of the time, I grew up in the capital, in Delhi. I spent around 7 years there. Okay? All right. Bhupendra says, as I was a kid, my parents kept me at a hostel for my academic studies, which was the best part of my life. Bhupendra, you're really off topic there because I'm still not learning where you actually grew up. So where was it's not a hostel, it's boarding school by the sounds of it. So Bhupendra, remember the word boarding school. So my parents sent me to boarding school for academic studies in the city of New Delhi, and so that's where I grew up. Okay, Bhupendra, keep that in mind. So boarding school, and you grew up in the city. State the city. Okay. Otherwise, good. Okay. Whenever I say new words, students, like boarding school, if it's new for you, make sure you write it down and then after class review it so that you learn the collocation boarding school so you know what that is. All right? All right. Momina, I grew up in Rawalpindi near the capital of Pakistan, Islamabad. Okay, and then again, students, remember that quantitative information that Sevgi did a really good job with. He says until the age 18. So if you moved, then you should say until what time you lived there. Okay, make it clear for the examiner. Okay. All right. Next question, students. What do you like about your hometown? Okay. Now, this question is in connection to the previous, so make sure you don't start talking about a new place. So connected to the original place for the first answer. What do you like about your hometown? Okay, give me a nice full sentence answer for that one. Okay, what do you like about your hometown? One more time, remember the goal is to have the answer, the explanation, and the example. Okay, so answer, explain, and example, smooth flowing example. You should have these 3 points spinning and turning in your mind as you're going into that speaking exam. So Nirmaljit says, well, there are many aspects which I like about my hometown, such as big parks, stadiums, and less crowded roads. Okay. All right. Nirmaljit, why do you like big parks? Why do you like stadiums? Can you give me an example? It's better to go into detail than to just name a lot of different points. So pay attention for that, Nirmaljit. Give me an explanation, an example. In this case, Nirmaljit, don't be surprised if the examiner says why. Okay, so why do you like these? Or why do you like this about your hometown? Okay. Begzad says the main feature of Samarkand is that it is the most famous tourist destination. I used to go to museums and parks with my parents. Sometimes I talked with tourists there to improve my communication. All right, Begzad, it's a little bit long-winded. So the first part, I'd be a little bit faster. I would actually say Samarkand is a famous tourist destination because it has lots of museums and parks, which I frequented with my parents, and I had a chance to communicate with tourists in English. Okay, so that's what you should say. All right. Kyber says, in fact, I'm not really into nature in my hometown, but there are beautiful rivers, or there is a beautiful river called Kunar, which I have enjoyed a lot. Okay, just last week I went fishing there with some of my friends. So again, students, I'm not seeing enough of those smooth flowing examples. Okay. I'll give you an answer which reflects the points that I'm emphasizing for you to include. So Victoria, this is where I grew up. So Victoria is known as the Garden City, and it is full of beautiful parks and trails. Just last week, I enjoyed a picnic in Beacon Hill Park with my friends. Okay. So that would be a high quality answer. It's not a lot of information, but it's very specific and clear information. Okay, let's take one more. Konstantina says, Bulgarians are very temperamental and social people. So in my city, I like that it provides the inhabitants with lots of social facilities, such as parks, restaurants, and coffee shops or cafes. Just last week, I got together with about 10 of my friends for a big birthday celebration at an amazing Bulgarian restaurant. Give the name of it to be more specific. So Konstantina, you got the right idea, but make some corrections with your word choice, and also put a smooth flowing example into your answer. All right? Okay, so nice to see you in class, Pachu. I'll get you on the next one. Let's keep moving forward. Okay. So here's the next question. When is it a good time to visit your city or town? Why? By this time, the examiner will know whether you're talking about a city or a town, so they'll be specific. When is it a good time to visit your city or town? They won't ask you the why right away. Usually they'll wait if you don't give your explanation. So make sure to include that explanation in that smooth flowing example. Again, students, be confident. Repeat me. This is your time to practice. Okay? So give me some nice answers to this. This is a when question. You will notice that the examiner's questions are varied. First one is where, second one was what, this one is a when. So of course the examiner is fishing for these different skills in English, being able to answer these different W questions. Okay? All right. So let's keep going here. Begzod says, I definitely think that spring is the best season to travel around my hometown, not only because it gives a chance to view the beautiful blossoms, but also the air is fresh. Okay? Yeah, it's a good start. Just careful again, Begza, not to overspeak and get yourself into trouble. All right. Okay, Tina says, I like my hometown because of its green spaces and different cultures from lots of Iran's states. But if I have a chance, I prefer to change my place to more silent places. Tina, don't go off topic, okay? I didn't really ask you about if you have a chance, what would you like to do? So students, don't just start saying a variety of ideas and showing different grammar. That will not get you points, okay? Being coherent is absolutely paramount for getting high band scores. Okay, it's absolutely paramount. All right. Akashdeep Kaur says, although my hometown is not very famous, it does have some big celebrations. For instance, Baikshi is very renowned all over the area. Baishki, sorry. So people can pay a visit there in the summer season. Okay, Akashdeep, a really important point, and this is for other students as well. Pay attention to the order of information. Order of information is important, all right? It's much better, Akashdeep, to start with the summer season. So people should pay a visit to my hometown in the summer season because although it is not too famous, it does host a big celebration in the month of July called Baishki, which is a lot of fun. Okay, so Akashdeep, that would be a more accurate answer. So watch your order of information. It does matter. All right. Shafiqul Islam says, Dhaka is full of historical places. People can visit these whenever they want, but I think it's best to go in the winter as many of these tourist attractions are indoor venues such as museums. Okay, so tell me why you think winter is better, Shafiqul. So you should include that in your answer. All right, here's my answer. The best time, without a doubt, is late spring and summer to visit Victoria, and early summer to visit Victoria because, as I had just mentioned, it is a garden city. So during the months of April to June, all of the flowers are in bloom, and it is amazing to see all of the colors, like the cherry blossoms, which started to bloom last week. Okay, so again, students, I'm really pushing you to get those high band scores, okay? So I'm always pushing you for that band 9. It's not out of reach. You don't have to be a native English speaker to get a band 9. You can get a band 9 without being a native English speaker. Of course, you do have to be an expert user of the language. So take a look. The best time, without a doubt. So this is a nice natural expression that shows confidence. If you don't know it, write it down. The best time, without a doubt, is late spring and early summer to visit Victoria because, as I had just mentioned, notice this really clever addition to my response, which immediately ties into my previous answer, which is what I like about my city. Okay, so because, as I had just mentioned, it is a garden city, so during the months of April to June, that's my quantitative information. All of the flowers are in bloom, and it is amazing to see the colors, like the cherry blossoms, which started to bloom last week. Okay. So again, this smooth flowing example to just help bump up my score. All right. So notice how it doesn't look all that complex, but there's a lot of valuable information and great coherence because I'm connecting. A lot of connection there. Okay. All right, students. So far, so good. Okay, so far, so good. Okay, let's keep moving. Here is the next question. If a visitor wants to go shopping in your hometown, where is a good place? Why? Okay, so give me a nice answer to this one. Again, students, you probably realized I can't catch all of your responses, but not to worry. I do try to catch different students at different times for different questions. So just keep moving forward, okay? A lot of students worry too much about teachers and examiners. Worry about yourself. Make sure you keep practicing and producing answers, okay? So answer this question for me, all right? So Khyber says, well, I think that Gul Bahar Center is the best place for shopping in our hometown because this is the only place that imports high quality products. Just last year, my friend decided to buy clothes there. Okay. Don't forget about this part of the question, Khyber, visitor. Okay, make sure you include that in your answer so that your examiner realizes that you caught that part of the question, visitor. Okay, that's an important part. That is the subject of the question. Pachu says, if a visitor wants to go for shopping in my hometown, just say the name of your town, Pachu. There's a place near National Park called Gruda where there are a lot of facilities with reasonable prices for souvenirs. Okay. All right. Munzir says, Zainab Market is a great choice for tourists as it is a well-known street market where they can get leather goods such as wallets and jackets, which are famous in the area. Munzir, that's a good answer. Okay, so you've done a nice job of paraphrasing, and you're keeping in mind that we're talking about a tourist here, so good. All right, good job. Sevgi says, I would recommend tourists to go downtown because not only are the prices relatively cheap compared to the shopping malls, but also tourists can enjoy the local markets and open air. Careful, Sevgi, not to repeat the word shop, shops, shopping too many times. So try to replace that with markets, vendors, okay, stores. All right, there are a lot of synonyms for the word shop and shopping. Okay. So, all right, so here's my answer. Provided that a tourist travels to Victoria, the ideal place for souvenir shopping is in the downtown core, not only because there are many venues, but the products are also authentic and of the highest quality. In fact, I bought a small totem pole for one of my friends who lives in Europe at a store there. Okay. All right. So, souvenir, there's the right spelling, is the gifts that people buy, the traditional local gifts that people buy to take with them and to give to their friends and family. So provided that a tourist travels to Victoria, the ideal place for souvenir shopping is the downtown core, not only because there are many venues, but the products are also authentic and of the highest quality. In fact, I bought a small totem pole for one of my friends who lives in Europe at a store there. All right, so that is a high quality answer. Just like Munzir, I'm using a correlative conjunction. Thank you for that reminder, Munzir. Those help to bump up your score. So not only, but also. All right, that's a nice use of correlative conjunction if you have two or more reasons for that answer. All right, that will work. Okay, students, one more question here. Let's do this. So, has anything changed in your hometown in the past 10 years? Pay attention to the grammar reflected in your answer. Again, remember, answer, explain, example. Okay, those need to be included. All right, think about your answers. I'll try to catch a couple more students for the previous question. So Suleiman Sunuwar says Pokhara is the best place for tourists because there one can find Piwa Lake and Mahendra Cave, Gups Tower Cave and Museum, which have lots of souvenirs for the travelers to take home. Okay, remember, it's for shopping. Okay. Jazz says, well, if a visitor wants to go shopping in Ludhiana City, I suggest them to go to the local markets, as there are lots of wool clothing there, which are famous in my city. Okay, yes, Jess, I see that you put the famous after. You realize that's important. Okay. Nirmaljeet says, well, yes, my hometown has changed a lot in the last few years. For example, there used to be a park in the center of the city, but now it's being replaced by a gigantic office building. The word is gigantic. Pronounce that one with me, students. A lot of students mispronounce the word gigantic. It's giant, gigantic. Okay? Gigantic. All right. Let's see what else has come up. Jess says, yes, a variety of features have changed in my hometown. Jess, try to never use the word things. It has zero value in communication, and it degrades the quality of your speech. So avoid the word things at all costs, okay? So yes, various aspects of my hometown has changed. For example, there are numerous flyovers constructed in Ludhiana City to curb traffic jams. All right, Jazz, so interesting answer. Just be careful, avoid the word things, okay? So here's my answer. Sure, several aspects of Victoria have changed over the last decade. Namely, a new bridge has been constructed, and a new major road to accommodate for the city's growing population. Okay, so again, I'm really emphasizing the present perfect here. So has anything changed? My answer includes the present perfect. It's very important. So sure, several aspects of Victoria have changed over the last decade. Notice 10 years, paraphrase last decade. Namely, it's a nice way to join again with an example or an explanation. Namely, a new bridge has been constructed and a new major road to accommodate for the city's growing population. And if I want to be clear according to writing, I should say a new major road here. Makes it a little bit nicer, more accurate. Okay, why? To accommodate for the city's growing population, which has ballooned to over 500,000 residents. Okay, might as well throw in a little bit of quantitative information. So again, repeat after me, nice and loud, students. Sure, several aspects of Victoria have changed over the last decade. Namely, a new bridge and a new major road has been constructed to accommodate for the city's growing population, which has ballooned to over 500,000 residents. Okay. All right. So that is part 1 for the speaking. Those are high quality answers. That's how you get a Band 9, students. Again, remember, the goal is answer, explain, example. Any questions about the reading, or sorry, any questions about the speaking section? Reading tomorrow. Today, speaking. Any questions about part 1 speaking and about this lesson or what I showed you? Yes, Suleiman, now's your chance. Absolutely. Ask me a question. Okay. Kestra, that's a good answer for that last question. Right, that works. The schedule hasn't changed. This is daylight savings, so some of you might know that in different parts of the world, the time changes at different times throughout the year, especially during spring and fall. In Europe, in Hungary, the time hasn't been changed yet, so that's why you're noticing the time difference. Currently, in Central European time, we are at almost 2:30 p.m. So it's still the same for me as it was before. For you, it's been different. Okay. Suleiman, this video will be available on this channel later this evening. Okay, so it's being recorded. In fact, I can actually set it live after this class, so you'll be able to see it in about an hour. Okay. All right, students. Any other questions? Shahayatri, one of the best ways we can help you improve your speaking is if you book mock speaking interviews and lessons with our professional teachers. You can do that through our website. So again, students, to get all of our materials, to be able to book speaking lessons, also to get writing help, and for 6 exams and lots of other goodies, join us on our websites, gieltshelp.com for General IELTS. That looks like this with the green background, and you will notice this big red button. That's what you need to join it, okay? And for academic IELTS, it's this one here with the blue background. So click that big red button to join us there, and then you can get even more help to improve your band scores. That's it for me for today, students. It was a lovely class. It was great to have all of you responding so nicely to these questions. Remember, practice your speaking often. Record yourself on your phone. Listen, correct, re-record. Okay, that's a very good strategy. In 30 minutes, we will be continuing with speaking part 3 on our academic English help channel. Okay, and remember, this is the last week for General IELTS live classes. From next week, we are going to do more members chat classes on our academic English help channel. You're welcome, everybody. Have an awesome day. Hope to see you in the next class. Bye for now.